The family meeting had been called with the usual 48 hours notice. Just enough time to rearrange my schedule, not enough to prepare an excuse. I arrived at my parents' house on Thursday evening to find the entire family assembled. Mom and Dad at the head of the dining table, my older brother Kevin sprawled in his usual chair, and my younger sister Ashley perched beside him, already scrolling through her phone. I was 32 years old, a senior financial analyst at Greenfield Capital. To my family, this meant I worked with spreadsheets, a job they'd never found impressive compared to Kevin's position as assistant manager at a car rental franchise or Ashley's influencer career that consisted of 3,000 Instagram followers and occasional free protein shakes. "Sit down, Jordan," Dad said, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. "We need to discuss the family financial situation." I'd heard variations of this speech for the past decade. It always meant the same thing. They needed money and I was expected to provide it. "Your mother and I have been reviewing our expenses," Dad began, sliding a handwritten list across the table. "With inflation and everything, we're coming up short each month. We need you to increase your contribution to the household." "I don't live here," I reminded them gently. I'd moved out 6 years ago, a fact they seemed to conveniently forget during these discussions. "That's not the point," Mom interjected. "Family takes care of family. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. Now that you're doing well, it's time to give back." I looked at the list. It included their mortgage payment, car insurance for vehicles I didn't drive, cable and streaming services, and something labeled Kevin's Business Investment Fund. "This totals $4,000 a month," I said carefully. "We know you can afford it," Kevin said, not looking up from his phone. "You're always talking about your fancy job." I'd mentioned my promotion exactly once 2 years ago. They'd changed the subject to Kevin's upcoming big opportunity within 30 seconds. "I'm already contributing," I said. "I've been sending you money every month for 7 years. $800, Dad scoffed. "That barely covers utilities. We need real support, not token gestures." The $800 monthly had been presented as temporary help when Dad lost his job in 2017. He'd been re-employed within 4 months, but the payments had somehow become permanent. Over 7 years, I'd sent them $67,200, money they'd never acknowledged as significant. "Ashley needs a new car," Mom added. "Her Civic is 4 years old and completely embarrassing. We found a nice BMW, but we need you to co-sign the loan and cover the down payment." "I'm not co-signing a car loan," I said firmly. "See." Ashley finally looked up, her face flushed with anger. "This is exactly what I told you. Jordan thinks she's too good for us now. Make some money and suddenly family doesn't matter. It's not about being too good. You owe us for raising you." Dad's fist hit the table, making the water glasses jump. "Everything you have because we sacrificed for you. The least you can do is show some gratitude." The familiar guilt tried to take hold. The weight of obligation, the sense that maybe I was being selfish. But something Dad said nagged at me. "Everything you have because we sacrificed." That wasn't true. And I was tired of pretending it was. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. "I want to show you something." "Put that away," Mom said sharply. "This is family time, not phone time." "No, I think you should see this." I opened my transaction history and started scrolling. "Here's the $800 I sent you this month. And last month. And every month for the past 7 years. We know you send money," Kevin said dismissively. "But do you know about these transactions?" I filtered the view to show charges I'd been monitoring for months. This one from March. A $1,200 charge at an electronics store in your neighborhood. On a credit card in my name that I never opened. The table went silent. Or this one from January. $800 at a furniture store. Or this. $2,300 for a vacation package to Cancun. All on credit cards I didn't apply for, using my information. Mom's face had gone pale. Dad's jaw was clenched tight. "How did you?" Mom started. "I'm a financial analyst," I said quietly. "I specialize in detecting fraudulent transactions and identity theft. It's literally my job. Did you think I wouldn't notice?" I pulled up another app, my credit monitoring service. "I've been tracking this for 6 months. 17 unauthorized credit accounts opened using my social security number. Total fraudulent charges, $43,000. Those weren't fraudulent, Dad said, but his voice had lost its boom. We're family. We needed those things and we knew you'd want to help. Forging my signature on credit applications isn't helping. It's identity theft. It's a federal crime. Kevin finally put down his phone. Come on, Jordan. You're not going to call the cops on your own parents. I already did something better, I said, pulling up an email. I contacted the fraud departments of every credit card company involved. I filed formal disputes on every charge. And I sent documentation to the Federal Trade Commission. You what? Ashley's voice was shrill. The credit cards are frozen as of tomorrow morning, pending fraud investigation. Every account will be closed and the charges will be reversed to me. The card companies will be seeking repayment from whoever physically used the cards, which according to security footage I requested, appears to be various family members. I pulled up another document on my phone, a comprehensive spreadsheet. I also documented every dollar I've sent you over the years. The $67,200 in monthly payments. The $12,000 emergency loan for Kevin's car. The $8,000 for Ashley's dental work. The $15,000 for your vacation to Europe you said was a medical necessity for Dad's stress. You've been tracking our every request? Mom whispered. I've been documenting financial abuse, I corrected. There's a difference. I opened my banking app to a different screen. My actual financial portfolio. This is what you don't know about me. What you never bothered to ask about. The screen showed my investment dashboard. Primary savings, $287,000. Investment portfolio, $643,000. Retirement accounts, $418,000. Real estate condo $520,000 owned outright. Total net worth, $1,868,000. The silence was absolute. $1.8 million, Kevin finally said. How? I'm not a spreadsheet worker. I'm Senior Director of Financial Analysis at Greenfield Capital. My salary is $245,000 annually. With bonuses and investment returns, I've averaged $320,000 yearly income for the past 5 years. Dad's mouth opened and closed. The little apartment you've never visited? It's a 2-bedroom condo in Harborview Towers that I purchased in cash 3 years ago. The old Honda I drive? That's intentional. I learned early that showing success to this family meant increased demands. Why didn't you tell us? Mom asked. Why would I? Every achievement I've ever shared was met with dismissal or immediately turned into a request for money. When I got promoted to director, Dad said it was nice, and then asked me to pay for Kevin's failed restaurant investment. When I bought my condo, you said I was wasting money on property and needed to focus on family obligations. So you've been lying to us, Ashley said accusingly. No. I've been protecting myself from you. I stood up, gathering my phone. Here's what happens next. The fraud investigation will proceed. You'll be contacted by credit card companies seeking repayment of the $43,000 in fraudulent charges. You'll probably face legal consequences. That depends on how cooperative you are with the investigation. Jordan, please. Mom reached for my hand, but I stepped back. We're family. We made mistakes, but we can fix this. You don't need lawyers involved. I already involved them. My attorney filed a cease and desist order this afternoon. You're legally prohibited from using my name, social security number, or financial information for any purpose. Violation results in immediate prosecution. You can't do this, Dad said, but the fight had drained from his voice. I already did. I picked up my bag. The monthly payments stop as of today. The emergency loans stop. The requests for co-signing stop. All of it stops. So you're just abandoning your family? Kevin stood up, trying to look intimidating. No. You abandoned me years ago when you decided I was more valuable as a bank account than as a daughter. I'm just finally accepting what this relationship actually is. I walked toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I hoped it wouldn't come to this. I gave you so many chances to just ask honestly, to respect boundaries, to treat me like family instead of a resource. But you couldn't even do that. Where do we go from here? Mom asked, tears streaming down her face. That's up to you. You can cooperate with the fraud investigation, accept the cease and desist terms, and we can potentially rebuild something honest in the future. Or you can fight it and I'll let the criminal justice system handle everything. After everything we've done for you, Dad said bitterly. You raised me. That's what parents are supposed to do. It doesn't entitle you to commit fraud for the rest of my life. I opened the front door and stepped into the cool evening air. Behind me, I heard Ashley start crying, Mom consoling her, Kevin angrily asking what they were supposed to do now. Not my problem anymore. My phone rang as I reached my car. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Miss Chin? This is Detective Maria Gonzalez with the Financial Crimes Unit. I received your documentation regarding identity theft and credit fraud. I'd like to schedule a time to take your formal statement. Of course. When works for you. Tomorrow at 10 a.m.? I'll be there. As I drove away from my parents' house, possibly for the last time, I felt something unexpected. Lightness. The crushing weight of obligation, guilt, and manipulation had lifted. My phone buzzed with texts. From Kevin, you're dead to this family. From Ashley, I hope you're happy destroying everything. From Mom, please reconsider. We'll do anything. From Dad, nothing. Just silence. I blocked Kevin and Ashley's numbers. I'd respond to Mom only through my attorney. Dad's silence told me everything I needed to know about what he thought when I was no longer useful. 4 months later, I sat in my home office, the one with the view of the harbor my family had never seen, reviewing the final settlement. The credit card fraud charges had been reversed. My parents had accepted a payment plan for partial restitution and probation in lieu of jail time. Kevin and Ashley had been required to attend financial counseling as part of the agreement. The family had splintered predictably. Some relatives accused me of being vindictive. Others, once they saw the documented evidence, quietly reached out with support and their own stories of financial manipulation they'd endured. My career had flourished. Without the constant stress of family financial demands, I'd been able to focus completely on work. I'd been promoted again, this time to vice president. My portfolio had grown to $2.1 million. But more importantly, I'd started building actual relationships. Friends who valued me for who I was. A partner who respected my boundaries. A therapist who'd helped me understand that loving your family doesn't mean letting them destroy you. My phone buzzed, a text from my friend Rachel. Still on for dinner tonight? Absolutely. I'll bring wine. I looked out at the harbor, at the life I'd built without family obligation crushing every decision. Dad had shouted that I owed them for raising me. He was wrong. I'd repaid that debt 100 times over. In money, in time, in sacrificed opportunities and crushed boundaries. What I'd finally learned was this. You don't owe anyone permission to destroy you, not even family. Especially not family. The fraud department had called. The credit cards had stopped working. And for the first time in 32 years I was free. 6 months after that final family meeting, I received an unexpected letter. Not from my parents or siblings, they'd gone silent after the legal proceedings concluded, but from my Uncle Marcus, Dad's younger brother who'd moved to Seattle years ago and rarely attended family functions. Dear Jordan, I heard what happened through the family grapevine. Your father called me asking for money, and when I asked why, the whole story came out. His version, anyway. I did some digging and got the real story from your Aunt Linda. I'm writing because I owe you an apology. 20 years ago your parents did something similar to me. Nothing as extensive as what they did to you, but they forged my name on a loan application for $15,000. I was furious, threatened legal action, and your dad convinced me I was tearing the family apart over money. I backed down, ate the debt, and distanced myself. I should have warned you. I should have said something when I saw them starting the same pattern with you. Instead, I took the coward's way out and just stayed away from family events. I'm sorry. What you did took courage I didn't have. Your right to protect yourself. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for it. If you're ever in Seattle, dinner's on me. No strings, no asks, just family who actually respects boundaries. Uncle Marcus. I read the letter 3 times, tears blurring my vision by the end. It wasn't just the apology. It was the validation that I wasn't crazy, wasn't cruel, wasn't overreacting. This was a pattern. I was just the first one strong enough to stop it. I wrote back that evening, and Uncle Marcus and I started a correspondence that evolved into actual friendship. He sent me photos of his life in Seattle. his partner David, their 2 rescue dogs, the coffee shop they owned together. A life built on honesty and mutual respect, not obligation and exploitation. Through him I learned more family history. My grandfather had apparently cut off my father for similar financial manipulation. My dad's sister had moved to Australia specifically to put an ocean between herself and the constant demands. The pattern went back generations. I wasn't the villain in this story. I was just the first one to document it thoroughly enough to make it stop. My therapist had a term for what I'd experienced: financial enmeshment and exploitation. Your family never saw you as a person, she explained during one session. They saw you as an extension of themselves, an asset to be utilized. Setting boundaries wasn't cruel, it was survival. The guilt still came in waves. Holidays were particularly hard. Thanksgiving arrived and I spent it with Rachel and her family, feeling like an interloper at someone else's table. Christmas meant watching other families exchange gifts while I sat alone in my beautiful condo. But then I'd remember, those family gatherings I was mourning? They'd never actually been about love or connection. They'd been performances, with me playing the role of the grateful daughter who funded everyone else's lifestyle. I didn't miss my family. I missed the fantasy of what family could have been. My phone buzzed, a text from my partner Alex, whom I'd been dating for 3 months. Dinner tomorrow? My mom wants to meet you. My stomach clenched with the old anxiety. But Alex had seen my bank statements during our mortgage pre-approval. We were buying a vacation property together. And his response had been, "Wow, you're really good with money. Can you teach me?" Not, "Can I borrow some?" Not, "You should help my family." Just genuine admiration and respect. "I'd love to meet her," I texted back. Maybe that was the real victory. Not the money I'd saved or the fraud I'd stopped, but the fact that I'd finally learned what healthy relationships looked like. And I'd learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. My family had demanded more money at that dinner. I'd given them something better: consequences. And in doing so, I'd given myself something invaluable: freedom to build a life worth living. The fraud investigation was closed. The credit cards had been dealt with. The legal consequences had been served. But the real ending wasn't about them at all. It was about me finally choosing myself, finally understanding that I deserved better than to be someone's ATM with a pulse. I deserved love without conditions. Respect without strings attached. Family that didn't require bankruptcy to maintain. And now I had it, not from the people who raised me but from the people I'd chosen. That was worth more than all $1.8 million in my accounts. That was priceless.